Good morning. Nice of you guys to drop by.
What a piece of junk. What are you talking about?
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed.
Look, don't worry. Everything's gonna be fine. Trust me.
I don't know what all this trouble is about, but I'm sure it must be your fault. Don't get technical with me.
This bickering is pointless.
Don't everybody thank me at once.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
How could you even say that?
I got a bad feeling about this.
Well, come on.
Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Would you get going, you pirate?
Get in there, you big furry oaf! I don't care what you smell!
I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
If what you've told me is true, you will have gained my trust.
I like the sound of that.
Get a shuttle ready.
I don't know. Fly casual.
Shuttle Tydirium, what is your cargo and destination?
Transmission commencing.
Good evening. Thanks again for listening to the Shuttle Tydirium podcast. We are the mothership of hardcore tournament action here. Win. Win at all costs. Second place is first place loser. I am your captain, Jim Chadwick, also known as Hey Chadwick on the forums. I have next to me Phil Mead. How you doing, Phil?
I'm doing great. I have extreme X-Wing advice for everybody tonight.
Excellent. We have our chief engineer. He's engineer, but he's chief. Jake the Brake.
I'm here, and tonight there will be no brakes. I have my foot on the hyperspace pedal, and it is a lead foot. So get ready, and I hope you're strapped in.
We also have, in the back there, kind of shy, his name is J-Bot. He's our protocol droid.
I'm just bringing just a couple things, guys. I hope y'all don't mind. I don't, me butting in with some stuff.
Okay, but put that blaster down. All right, guys. So, yeah. Here we are for another episode. Sorry for the crazy intro. I just felt pumped. Yeah. I have to say, I was listening to another podcast that had tournament talk and all these new stuff. And I've been busy with the holidays and looking for a new job and all this crazy stuff in my normal life. And I really haven't paid much attention to a lot of the new stuff for X-Wing as much as I should have. Even got like the new U-Wing, TIE Striker, and they've really not been taken out of the package much other than going, ooh, they move, cool. But just listen to this other podcast, had some tournament talk and all, and various crazy things, made me get enthused for X-Wing. And I spent the past like day and a half, I've cooked up like 6 or 7 crazy lists that just kind of bubbled out of my mind. I was very excited about. And I only got to try one of them tonight, but I had a really fun time. So it was pretty cool.
Excellent.
All right, so I want to go straight into a captain's question, as per normal. I want to know from you guys, out of Wave, so we only have 2 ships in Wave 10. Wave Rogue One, I guess you'd call it. What is your favorite thing to come out of Wave Rogue One? Almost 10.
So just the U-Wing and the TIE Striker stuff?
Yeah, so it can be a pilot, it can be an upgrade or EPT or whatever out of all those things. What is the thing that you like the most excites you?
Let's see. I know. The pilot skill 8 TIE Striker pilot, Sterling Archer.
Yeah.
That is got to be my favorite.
Duchess.
Danger Zone!
Codename Duchess.
Danger Zone. I thought it was going to be the Danger Zone EPT, but...
Oh my god, that would have been so good.
We still haven't come out with a Danger Zone pilot, because you sure there's going to be one. But Imperial pilot. So, have you flown Duchess?
No.
No, you have not yet.
But I can't
know
wait.
It's still pretty new in the holidays and all that. But you were most excited to fly Duchess, or you just like Duchess the name even?
All of the above.
All right. Excellent. Well, good. Very good. PS8's pretty nice too, I'll admit.
Yep. Good
but
match for the pilot skill ability, for the pilot ability.
Yep. Let's go to J-Bot, because I don't want Jake stealing J-Bot's answer again.
I'm actually trying to find a post on the Facebook page that I cannot dig up. But my favorite card, assuming this is in the right series, is actually the Boshek card, that crew card that basically lets you decide yes or no whether you want to look at an opponent's dial, and if you do, they have to essentially choose another.
Correction? It's not opponent, any ship.
Is it
any
ship?
Your own ship?
Oh, see, I didn't look that close, and that's why I was trying to find the post. There is one where somebody said the only reason they like this card is because of the story that somebody posted about using the card, and I was going to try and find it and reenact the story, but can't find the post, so you guys all get to miss out on that. But that's actually my my favorite one. It's, and I posted when it first came out. I actually like it just for the simple mind game of the story, or what this can do is, do you use it? Do you not use it? Does your opponent prepare for it or not prepare for it? That kind of mind game I actually like. In a sense, it takes a little bit of just the feel of Magic that the game is starting to take on with just card dominance, or equipment dominance and that sort of thing. It puts a little bit of the mind game back into it, and I really like that. So that's my favorite right now, and I'll see if I can dig that story up.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good. I know someone was posting about how they posted a new dials to help make it easier for having Boshek around. They posted that in the Facebook group. You know, I keep thinking we keep pushing the Facebook group, and I guess I'm not really trying to, but so many cool things happen on it. And like, I don't know, even if you don't care about Facebook for anything else, make a bogus account and just join the Shuttle Tydirium. Because I swear, like, most of the stuff I do on Facebook is all hobby related stuff. Like, I really don't care too much about real people in Facebook, because that's just annoying.
I actually made 3 or 4 new accounts just to, spend more time there and be more engaged.
That's funny. J-Bot has, I think, 3,021 different Facebook accounts, all slightly differing names.
What are you talking about?
Listen, dude, every time
I would never do that. That's totally against the Facebook regulations, I'm fairly certain.
Every time I give you a memory dump, I find thousands and thousands of new accounts. I can't delete them fast enough.
It's probably like a virus or something. I've probably been hacked.
Probably.
Yeah, that's what it is. All right. So how about you, Jake the Break?
Well, everyone stole mine. Actually, Phil stole mine. I was going to say, Duchess and make an Archer joke, and then I was going to scream out, "Danger Zone!" But all I got to do was say Danger Zone. So that was my first. I guess I'm going to go with the upgrade card, which actually goes with the TIE Striker, the Adaptive Ailerons. So I think it's awesome because it really, we talked about this in an earlier podcast, but it just adds that whole new dimension of, this is a very fast, very agile fighter. You must execute a white maneuver. And I believe that there was even one either modification or pilot. I think it was a modification that allowed you to not do that as a tactic, which I thought was pretty cool too.
Duchess.
Is it Duchess?
Yeah.
Oh, see, there you go. See, Duchess. It all comes back to Duchess. But yeah,
Dutchess County.
Yeah, Dutchess County. Hey, there you go. Wait, Dutchess County where?
New York.
New York. Oh, good. So we're on the same page. Excellent. I like it. Yeah, so that's where I stand.
So you haven't tried Duchess though, have you?
No, I haven't had a chance to try Duchess.
So I do know that it's still pretty new, at least coming out of the holidays and all. I will go with mine, and it is Swarm Leader, and I used it tonight. And there's a local guy named Blake who I remember when he was new and he first started, etc. And he had a Z95 that kind of one of the guns broke off, so he called it Lefty. Super nice guy, and he's actually been great. And he's a young, unmarried man to spend all his time playing X-Wing and promoting the hobby. he's been wonderful
Blake's
at it.
World Tour. That's become well known around here. Blake's World Tour.
Because he's going to Worlds, and so he's been also, or he was going to Worlds. Did it just happen? I don't quite know where the tournament scenes are, but he was going to Worlds and was going every night of the week to X-Wing at one of the local stores, because we have enough stores that there's actually X-Wing every night of the week, and he was
There's
going
too many actually at this point.
every night of the week to practice X-Wing, and he's been really good. And everyone calls him Mr. X-Wing, and he's become an admin of our local group because I've been fading from the tournament scene and all, and I actually disappeared. But we played tonight, and I pulled this list out with Swarm Leader, and he mentioned how he's never been able to beat me, and I'm really surprised because. Like, I could be good, but I also have gotten really rusty and like to play crazy stuff. And, I have off games, and some games I try crazy stuff out and it loses. But he's never been able to beat me, and it's just kind of crazy. Because he's good now. He's really good. And we played tonight, and I played with Vader, with Swarm Leader, Engine Upgrade, the X1 Title, and the Advanced Targeting Computer.
Sounds awesome.
With 4 Academy TIE pilots and a 5th Night Beast TIE fighter. Because Night Beast could do a green move and get a free focus, and then can do the evade action for free. So it's like a really, really cheap action economy. And he's PS5, and he's only, 15 points. And I had the points left over. So
nice.
Basically, and I used to fly Darth Vader with a bunch of TIE fighters back in Wave 1 and Wave 2. I used to win tournaments. It was all pretty cool. And I like the idea, if you set up cheap Academy pilots as a screen, like as a bumping screen, you kind of spread them out. People move in, they're going to bump into one of them and then kind of bump all the way to like the very front of the bump train. So they're still left at the beginning of my formation, touching one person, and all the rest of them are kind of lined up for kill zones. And the idea is to use the evades. Like then, even if whoever bumps can actually use that evade, because I just need to have you an arc. And I can use that evade and bump my dice. And the advanced targeting computer can actually bump my, give me a free critical hit. And Vader just needs to dodge arcs. He just needs to get the heck out of there and go for the attacks. And he played some crazy list. He said he learned from me the value of bombs because of my TIE bomber list. And so he had 2 K-wings loaded with bombs and a U-wing with Sabine and had bombs on that. And it was really crazy. He actually almost went through all of his bombs that he had. He had a whole lot of them. Even his K-wings didn't even have turrets. They just had bombs in the regular gun. But it was a very close game, and I came out and I crushed him with it. It was great. And my list, because I was listening to the Crit Hit podcast from South Africa, and they use I think it's Goblins from Mars, some techno band that does all the Star Wars music. And they had this one really, for their intro music, cool techno with this beat that, Darth Vader comes in and says, "I have you now." And I thought of the name for my list as "I Have You Now" with Vader and the TIE Fighters.
Nice.
And so Swarm Leader had this idea, and I ran with it. And tonight it was very, very satisfying to win, being very rusty and kind of first time ever flying the list. And it was awesome against a good opponent, Blake. And it just makes it sweeter that he hasn't actually beaten me yet. So I was very happy about it. Very happy about that. Cool. So that's the captain's question.
Excellent.
So I'm glad I'm having fun with that. I've got so many lists I want to try now. It's just crazy all the stuff you can do. Inspiring Recruit can do so much to allow rage in the game. It's pretty crazy. I'm very pleased. All right, so I was having a raging Lando. So one thing I got to say is that oh crikey, what's the Admiral Aimbot? What's his name?
Oh,
Baze
Malbus.
Baze Malbus. Everyone kind of poo-pooed this, like, "Ugh, he's not so good because you can't shoot the same target because you have to shoot at a different target, and the whole point is with gunner and etc. is Baze Malbus is terrible. So what about the idea of Lando with Baze Malbus and hotshot gunner or hotshot co-pilot? So you basically fire at someone, and you make them use their focus token. But then you miss, because in this day and age of the meta, etc., and X7 defenders and all that, you have to fire at someone else. Boom! You force them to use their focus token.
Mm.
And
why is it on Lando?
Yes, it was on Lando in the the Falcon or the YT-1 1300, and then you've got a bunch of other ships that can lay into stuff because they've just spent their tokens. That was my idea of a list called Rage and Lando. Because I gave him, I had 1 point left for an EPT, and I gave him Rage with the idea that, once the other ships are gone, he might need something to help him out, actually hit stuff. But
the thing about Rage is that it's going to work for both Baze Malbus attacks.
Yes, exactly. So
that was pretty good. I think that just the name alone, you get major credit for.
I probably should have made it a B team, but I've got, like, for the first time in a while, I've actually got all these crazy B teams lists, in my head, so it's pretty exciting. And I was just reading on the Facebook that someone took one of our B teams from a few weeks ago and was trying out, and actually they won 2 out of 2 games. Arno Covers. It was just trying one of our old B lists, and
cool.
He's in Belgium. All right.
Nice.
Oh, I forgot. I think we're actually going to introduce a new contest. And my wife came up with this idea. So listen to this. Over the holidays, when people ask me how I'm doing, all the relatives and friends and family, and I've been doing this new podcast, about my little plastic ships and toy soldiers and all that. And we're getting a number of 1,000 downloads an episode, and from around the world. I was going through the list of countries, and it was actually pretty remarkable. I mean, there are some countries. I consider myself very well versed in geography for an American. Like, I can name most of the countries in Europe and know where they go. Almost all. There's a few of those very, very, very odd ones, but even then, I think I might even be good with those now. But there's actually 2 islands east of Madagascar, do you know of? That we actually have had downloads from.
Wow.
I didn't know there was anything east of Madagascar.
So like Cameroon?
I'm stunned.
Cameroon? I don't know.
No. One's called like it's something like Freedom or Independence or something like that. Some weird, unusual name like that is the name of the island. And I think it's actually like a Dutch colony in the Indian Ocean. And there's another one between it and Madagascar. But we've got downloads from there. So this has inspired me to create a contest, or my wife to mention this. Everybody, the contest is to have me, your host here, Captain Chadwick, come and play games of X-Wing with you at your domicile, completely random. Holy moly. And my family will come and visit too. But you've got to hold us up. You got to hold us up in your house. So we're gonna do a completely random drawing, but you have to send in your name, email address, where you live, what activities are nearby, and what type of housing accommodations. Like, can you actually hold up with me and my wife and a teenage daughter and a son? Can you fit us? We're not going to sleep on a sofa. So completely random, send us all this information of what's cool to do near your house, where you live, how much does it cost to get to you.
Yeah.
And we will randomly pick someone, and I will come with my family and play X-Wing with you.
Is this
totally sounds like a free vacation camp here is what it sounds like.
What? No.
This totally sounds like something I would do.
Part of the... Look, are they paying for your ticket? Or they...
If there is a rich person who lives in southern France or somewhere in the Mediterranean or Scandinavia and wants to enter this contest to host me and my family, it could be a random drawing. They could be picked and could host me and my family
so great.
for
That's
a
right,
week
folks.
or so.
That's right, folks. If you happen to own a private island, you too could possibly be randomly selected by our show to host the entire show for a week, barring in mind that you are willing to pay for our first-class flight accommodations and any spending that we might need to have.
No, I could probably be willing to get there. I could pay the money to get there.
Completely random, though.
I don't know. I don't know if you could pay the money to get to. I'm looking at the map now. It's probably Mauritius Island.
That's
to the east of Madagascar. It might be. It might cost a few bucks to get there.
There's one further east. It's true. It's true. But there are a lot of actually very interesting places people have downloaded our podcast from.
So it does seem like a win-win for you, just in the sense is that you'll be able to travel somewhere maybe unique and exciting and new. Become a little more worldly.
So do we get to choose? And so Jim doesn't know because
nope.
Wait, that's not fair.
No, it's completely random by myself.
Yeah, I can be completely random.
Actually, JBot does have a random number generator in his programming.
No, actually, I've got to clear this with the Admiral. So
we still have that parts unknown location on there, right?
Oh, that would be amazing. Jim goes to parts unknown.
That would be cool. That would be pretty neat. But
and we never saw him again.
And if there's actually room, you could host the podcast. We would all come to said location. If there's enough room that you could host us, that'd be fine. But anyways, okay. So we can probably go on to our main topic, which is the mission for tonight. So
all right, let's rock it.
All right, let's go to the ready room.
Ready room.
Yes.
Got him! I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky! Chewie, get us out of here!
Mission 12, Bounty Hunt. Sometimes a bounty is so lucrative, it draws hunters from all over the galaxy. Lucky hunters arrive before their competitors. Unlucky hunters arrive too late. Really unlucky hunters arrive at the same time. That much is certain. When the stakes are high, there can be but one victor.
Ooh, very good. Very good. Thanks, J-Bot. All right. So what we wanted to do was, this was based on the Facebook post, recommendation to go over Mission 12 Bounty Hunt. It's a 3-player mission. So they do have the proposed mission setup, and then they also say you could just each have 100 points to go with. But I know J-Bot and I, we actually went with the proposed setup for our gameplay. And it goes through, there's an Imperial, Rebel, and Scum faction. See, Jake, you want to go ahead and read the Imperial side, being an Imperial favorite?
Absolutely, I would. So for the Imperial side, we've got Boba Fett. And Boba Fett's going to come with some heavy laser cannons, seismic charges, stealth device, and determination, as well as 48 squad points. Now, for those of you that don't remember...
No, that actually counts up for 48 squad points.
I'm sorry, and it counts up to 48 squad points. And you have the other remaining points to deal with. So you have the 52, correct, to build with?
So Jim, were you only flying with Boba Fett when you play this? That's what I thought.
And is that right?
Yeah, I think this mission description calls for Boba Fett with all that crap, and then 48 squad points to spend on stuff.
and here we go, a learning what not to do. Follow Filmy, do not follow our captain.
I've been known to make mistakes too.
I'm confused. What's the problem here? We did exactly what we're supposed to do on this podcast, which is Jim and I screw everything up. Well, actually, wait a minute.
There's no
wait.
problem.
Wait, Jim screwed everything up because I just sat down at the table and was said, "You fly this ship," and I said, "Okay, this works good. What am I supposed to do? Kill everything. I got it. I'm on it."
But you're right. There is no problem here because, as we know, we fly casual. There's no right or wrong here, and we're letting our audience decide and figure out for themselves. Not do what we say, not what we do.
We fly, you decide.
Exactly. All right, so
we just fly really casual.
So whether or not you and the audience decide to use the 48 squad points, which I think maybe you will, you do have Boba Fett, your heavy laser cannon. Of course, you get to attack one ship at range 2 to 3. You get 4 dice on that. You have to change all your crits to regular hit results. And then you've got your seismic charge, like I said. That is the one that detonates at the end of the activation phase. It's a 2-point upgrade. And then, of course, your stealth device, which allows you to increase your evasion until you are hit by an attack. Determination, which is our favorite I Have You Now Vader card, allows you to discard a damage card that has the pilot trait on it without resolving its effect. So that's your Boba Fett. Quite the Boba Fett here.
So why doesn't he have the Slave 1 title? That's what I want.
Yeah, I wondered about that. Because the Rebels have the Millennium Falcon title. And they even gave Scum the IG 2000 title.
That's right.
But they didn't give him the Slave 1 title.
Do you think that it's because he's Imperial, so they don't want to... Because he's such a better character in Scum and Villainy than Imperial? He's got like a handicap?
Well, the thing that's odd about this is why would you give the IG-88 the IG-2000 title unless they're expecting you to maybe put a second one with it?
Yeah, right. That's the thing. They were kind of maybe expecting you to put a second one with it.
Right. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to play that way, I mean, that's
I did find it odd, but I did. I was looking over. Like,
it was a little strange, but
this is weird. Why would I have that title? It doesn't matter.
The funnier thing about this now is. Now that I'm actually reading the mission, because I didn't read the mission, I literally sat down because he had already played it. He already played it with somebody else. So he was like, all right, he cost 48 points. I never even looked to see if Boba Fett costed 48 points. When apparently, I guess he cost 52, if I'm doing that math.
Probably.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, he cost 48 points. Never added it up. Never looked at it. Said, okay, I trust Jim. He says this is what we're supposed to do. And that's what we're supposed to do. I'm not going to start trying to look at these rules now. I mean, we're this far into it.
I have to say that the 2 games I played, it was very close, actually. All games were pretty down to the wire.
Well, in a sense, it should. I mean, it's 52 points, 53 points, and 51 points. They're not so drastically different that it really should be that. I mean, it really should be balanced at 50 points or thereabouts anyway. So, I mean, we didn't really do anything that crazy.
Yeah. Well, let me go with the Rebel version. Han Solo with Chewbacca, Elusiveness, the Millennium Falcon title. So Han Solo lets you re-roll your attacks if you don't like them. You pick up all the dice, re-roll it, which I thought was amazing from that particular mission. Chewbacca lets you get rid of a crit. Elusiveness gets poo-pooed very often for being terrible. But
it does.
But we actually, when we played it, there was actually one player who used it twice. He was able to get rid of a crit that would have hit him and turned it into a miss, or maybe it was a hit. And then another one that was a hit turned into a complete miss due to elusiveness. And actually, it really didn't affect him with the stress too much at all. So that was actually really good time to use elusiveness. It was actually very effective in his game.
Interesting. Did he have evades on the Millennium Falcon at that point?
Yeah, but he was getting wailed on.
Yeah.
It helped.
Interesting. Never heard of that card actually coming in.
I mean, it's one of those that's...
Yeah, and he won. He won that game,
useful
too.
in corner cases, I guess. It's just not as... It can come in handy, if you're using it. But there's probably, it's hard to compete with Push the Limit at the end of the day. Like if
Yeah,
you could
but-
if you could put any elite pilot talent on the Falcon, would you put elusiveness?
Okay, but which of these ships would you not put push the limit on? That's the thing I really liked about this particular mission, is that normally every one of these ships takes push to the limit. And that they didn't, and there was no engine upgrade. And it was awesome. I really liked this mission because it played these 3 ships without engine upgrade and without push to the limit. It was very interesting and a very fun game.
Right.
So go over IG-88. So
okay, so there we have IG-88B with an ion cannon, mangler cannon, accuracy corrector, hotshot blaster, seismic charges, and the IG-2000 title. So this is pretty standard IG-88 build. You see this a lot. Kidding, of course. This is if you play, if you know what robots are, and this looks very strange to you.
Yeah.
But it's pretty interesting. I'm trying to think of when you would really want to be using the ion cannon instead of like the mangler cannon.
It got used on me twice, to the point that it almost rolled me off the edge of the board.
So you got hit with it four times or
Twice.
2 times?
Twice. So I got hit with it once, just kind of on a fluke. He hit me with an ion, just to do it. Because it was early in the game, and he didn't want to antagonize me too much. But he did the damage, and I hit the ion token. And then there was one point I was running from, Han Solo, and he hit me with it as I was going towards the board edge. And it was really close. I had to do a 2 hard turn, and I just barely stayed on the board edge after he ionized me. So he almost ran me off the board with the ion cannon.
Nice.
It was very surprising. So I would have been right with you going, that was really terrible, to put the ion cannon on there. But it actually really was effective. Almost.
Yeah, and I mean, having an accuracy corrector, it could come in handy.
It actually did, because at least my first game, and my opponent really rolled bad a lot, and he often took an evade token to help keep him alive, because I nailed him early on, and I think I stripped him for 3 shield in the first round of firing. So he took evade tokens a lot and used accuracy corrector instead of, say, like a focus or a target lock, and actually it was pretty effective. Because he could always do accuracy corrector. Like if he rolled poorly, accuracy corrector, and then, if he missed, he got to shoot again with the mangler cannon. So,
right. I'm just trying to think if that. I wonder if that. I mean, the fire control system just probably is better at the end of the day with IG-88B, but it's interesting to see this.
Yeah.
Because you would never see it in a normal game.
Right. The hotshot blaster didn't really do anything in either game that I saw, though.
Seismic charges are always good.
Oh yeah.
I like those on this and the Boba Fett.
Yeah. But it probably would be even better if you played with a full 100 points for each side.
Right.
Nah. Why would we start doing weird things like that now? 100-point death matches are so passe.
All right, so what do we have in terms of special rules? We have 6 asteroids that go on the field. Pretty standard setup there, but what are the special rules here?
Imperials have initiative if they're in case of a tie. Then comes Rebels, and then comes Scum in case of a tie.
Right. And then there are these wing leader and order token special rules. So wing leader, normally your wing leader is going to be that one ship that you have this set up for, like Boba Fett, Han Solo, or IG-88B. And if the rule is that if the wing leader is destroyed or flees, you lose. That player loses, and you remove all their ships after a simultaneous attack. So this mission is all about protecting your wing leader and killing everybody else's wing leader.
Yeah.
Which must seem like a very odd rule if you're only playing with one ship.
Yeah, it did. I thought, well, it's there.
It's like, well, obviously,
that was there for the 100 point.
Right.
Get out of that mindset, people. For people with open minds, you understand if I've only got one ship, I can't let that ship die or I'll lose.
Right. I thought it was just there for the 100-point variant.
It was just amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just upset that you guys are knocking my latest victory. Because it wasn't just a victory by J-Bot and a Boba, which is awesome combination if I do say so myself. But not only that, but I kept a fire spray alive, which basically never happens whenever I put a fire spray of my own on the table. But I still had shields left after wiping off the other guys. I was a master of that one. Like, that was untouchable. It was good.
Yeah.
Maybe we should run one ship games more often.
It was actually it was actually still pretty close overall. I think that was the game with you, and where you won was pretty lopsided, but where it was a little more lopsided than all the rest. But we should go over the other order tokens. So at which basically says there are 3 tokens with different things on the underside. And basically, at the beginning of the round, you can take one of these tokens and put it on your main ship. Or if you're playing the 100-point variants, you can put on a 100 or a friendly ship at range 1 to 3 of your wing leader. And you put it on the card face down, not knowing which one of these 3 unique upgrades it is. And then at the beginning of the activation phase, you flip it over, and it's one of these 3 different free things. Phil, you want to go over what those are?
Sure. The first one is take evasive action, and this is you just increase the agility value by 1 until the end of the round. The second one is open fire, and that gives you pilot skill 12 during the combat phase. And the last one is Stay Frosty. Treat all maneuvers this ship executes as green maneuvers until the end of the round. Everything is green. So that's pretty interesting.
I have to admit that last one was very odd to me, because what that does is you put it on a ship. You don't know what you're going to get. You pick a maneuver, and then you flip it over. What if you get the one that says all your moves are green, but you've already picked your dial?
What?
So
why would you be assigning them randomly?
You get to flip them over. You can't look.
Yeah, but at the start of the round, you may assign one of your unused order tokens to the wing leader or one friendly ship.
But you can't tell which one it is.
Why not?
Oh, don't tell me you got that wrong.
Are you kidding me?
Our games are so much better than y'all's. I mean, come on.
Oh, God.
Our ships explode when they hit epic ones.
You're playing a completely different game.
You guys apparently don't need. We play one ship lists for 50-ish points instead of a set number of 100. I mean, come on, guys. There's fly casual, and then there's fly lazy boy, which is basically what we are.
I'm gonna make a new segment intro for when Phil corrects something that J-Bot and Jim made wrong. Oh my gosh!
But what you have to give us credit for our just commitment to that wrongness.
Your commitment is amazing. There's nothing about it. I love it. That's why I deserve this segment.
It's not even that it's not even that we're wrong. It's that we're so sure we're right.
I know.
It was the whole face down comment that made me think you couldn't pick. It was all random. You just picked one of them and drew it.
It did make for a pretty awesome time. I mean, you're like, I didn't want that one.
It was a really fun 2 missions I did. It was actually, I had a great time with this mission. I had a lot of fun with it.
Oh my gosh, the Emperor protects. This is just amazing.
Oh, this is. I'm starting to feel this is terrible. I had a great time. Really close games with a mission that completely was not written the way we played it. So,
maybe I need to do another entry like Mission 12B, Jim and J-Bot's version.
Oh, this is so absurd.
All
right.
Very nice, very nice. I needed that laugh. That was well earned. Oh.
So we're gonna have to actually ask for you viewers or listeners to actually send in your reports on playing with the actual rules right and your experiences with it.
Oh man.
Oh, that's too funny.
That is really funny.
Well,
I mean, do you want to go into how your game was, and
Yeah, I'm more interested in like how the politics of your game worked out.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
So we could go over with the two games that I did and the one game that J-Bot did, but then we could also talk about yours, and also if you're actually playing the mission appropriately, what type of selection you'd pick for the various ships.
I will talk about that.
Phil's going to set the record straight.
Right. So, when I first played, well, let's even go over asteroid placement. So basically, you kind of set up differently, and you get to put 2 asteroids down. So start with Imperial, then Rebel, then Scum, and then repeat again. What I wanted to do was try to put as many asteroids between. Because I was Imperial at first, and that meant directly opposite was the Scum. I wanted to put as many asteroids between myself and him as possible, so that there was no direct line straight at me to discourage someone from coming at me and going for the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so you tried to block yourself off a little bit.
Yeah, to one opponent. So that, I was just saying, like, that one guy, boom, I want to try to block him as much as possible.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. And J-Bot, did you have any strategy when you were putting them down, or no?
Well, I had, I know you mentioned, like, you can angle him towards the center of the map. I'm like, no, I'm running right up the edge. So, like, I purposefully, in a sense, kind of did what Jim did. I put an asteroid relatively blocking. Not right on the edge or anything like that, just relatively blocking one corner to the other corner. And then the other one, I made sure I had a nice clean run all the way down one side of the board, because basically my plan was I am going to let the other two commit. So I'm going to run square down one side, and either they're both going to come towards me or they're going to go towards each other. That way at least I know where I stand in this 3-way battle. So luckily, they committed to each other, and I got to sweep in and make my attack run when I wanted to, versus playing defense.
Yeah. So, what about you, Phil? Do you have any overall strategy with that?
With the asteroids?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that trying to arrange them so that you can maybe block yourself off or encourage the other two to fight each other is a good idea. So blocking those lanes of attack. It also depends on what kind of ship you're flying. So if you're flying the Falcon, you might want to set the asteroids up in kind of a traditional concentrated cluster in the center as much as possible, because that's good for like a turreted ship. You just fly around the outside, and vice versa. If you're fighting a turreted ship, you're trying to hunt one down. But you're only gonna get 2 asteroids, so you're not gonna have a lot of control over what happens.
I thought having them spread out a bit as the fire spray was good, because you don't want to completely block off lanes, but you want them spread out so that you had people going through the asteroids, and you could like do the banks and such, like get your forward shot or your rear arc and get some sort of action going, but try to mess with that. So I did like the idea of spreading them out as the fire spray. Probably the same for the
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. So we, in our first game, we kind of flew all roughly towards the center, and I forget what smug comment somebody made. We decided to all go towards the Falcon. The only problem with that is that I couldn't quite do the hard turn and get behind an asteroid enough to really trust the other guy to actually go after the Falcon. So I kind of went towards the other guy and hid from the Falcon behind an asteroid and decided to let them shoot each other up. But also what it allowed me to do is really get some good hits in on the IG-88. I will say my dice were fantastic this game. And I got lots of hits in, and his dice were terrible on the evades. And
J-Bots were?
No, actually it was before J-Bot because he was off playing Star Wars Destiny.
Oh, okay.
And I managed to get a whole bunch of hits in on the IG-88 before he kind of bugged out. But eventually what happened was the Falcon came in behind me, which I was okay with because I could shoot out the rear, but he started getting in close and doing too much damage to me. And my evade dice were not as hot as I wanted. He was at rage 1, getting 4 dice, getting the rerolls. He was able to really put the hurt on me, and he was always taking evade tokens, which I thought was kind of odd, but it worked because I couldn't do as much damage back. And the IG-88 had kind of bugged out a bit because it had gotten so ripped apart, it decided to let us shoot each other up too much. And I was really hoping and counting on the IG-88 following the Falcon to kind of help finish it off. So what eventually happened was the Falcon kind of came in behind me, was kind of chasing me around and shooting me, and it was a little too much damage that I liked. And I was eventually able to kind of turn away that the Falcon wasn't quite ready, and the IG-88 came back in, and I finally knocked the IG-88 down to 1 hull point. But it was really hurting me. Then the IG-88 almost ionized me off the board as I fled from the Falcon. And I was finally able to kind of turn in, and the IG-88 was still kind of fleeing on the edges. And I did a hard turn and decided I'm going to kill the IG-88 because I'm going to go down this round. And I did a hard turn in, and I pulled my shit. I went PS-12, and I fired, and I blew up the IG-88. And then the Falcon fired at me and blew me up. So we all died in 1 round.
Nice.
It was pretty exciting. It was pretty well balanced. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was the thing that I guess were 2 things that I liked about it. Now, obviously, the 100-point game changes a lot of this, but it was very simple when you get down to it. Everybody had 1 ship, even though there were 3 players. You had 1 ship, and the thing that we had run into in other games that were 3-player with everybody at 100 points is it takes so much longer with 3 people moving so many ships. But with 1 ship a person, it was what, like half an hour at the most for that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a
blew
game
through
type,
it really fast, and it was still balanced.
As a game type in and of itself, I actually like that a lot. It's one of the things I really liked about HOTAC early on is that Phil and I played just with 1 ship, and that was actually kind of cool,
right.
So I think that as a game idea, it's great.
Yeah, and even the guy who won my first game, he was a new player, and I think that was his 3rd game of X-Wing ever. And he won. He beat us. So that was pretty fun.
Were you guys negotiating with each other to form alliances and whatnot?
yeah, there was a bit of that.
Yeah, a bit. The first game, a bit. Yeah. We agreed to go for the Falcon, but I didn't turn anything on the Falcon because I didn't trust the other guy enough. And probably if we would focus on the Falcon, it might have been a little bit better overall. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yeah, we definitely had at least 1 or 2 turns of agreement in our second game. And then after that, there wasn't much left because I think the Falcon and the IG-88 were just getting blasted pretty good.
Oh yeah,
I'll admit I was having a really good game. It's like it was like, oh look, I perfectly located, an inch away from your flank basically, and just do 4 dice. I think I used the heavy laser cannon once because I kept getting in really good shots.
Early on, they agreed to blast at me in the Falcon, and it really hurt.
Why was that, Jim?
Just because.
No. Tell all the listeners, how many times have you used your Falcon? You actually used your Falcon?
It's true. It was I think it was actually my first time flying the Falcon.
Indeed, it was. This was the first time ever, folks, that he had ever flown the Millennium Falcon. So he owned it, and he's had it for ages. He had to knock the dust off of it, find the pegs and the cards and stuff that he'd probably strewn about and never paid attention to, and so he had to fly it. And so we're like, we're just going to bury him in it. He'll never fly that thing again after we're done with him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so they pretty much made it very hard for me because they ganged up on me. Even though they had perfect shots on each other, he decided, like the IG-88 was at range 1 of Boba Fett. Decided to
but I've got a heavy laser cannon. It's 4 dice whether you're at range 3 or at range 1, and I had a clean shot on the Falcon.
Shooting at me though.
Well, he offered, I accepted, so that was wasn't hard for me to accept. You're not going to shoot at me, okay? That's fine. Sure, I'll shoot at him too.
So early on, I kind of went one way to get away from J-Bot, and the IG-88 went in the middle. So then we ended up facing off towards each other and kind of fighting and bumping. And I think early off, I got the upper hand. But then we went back towards the middle because we didn't want to shoot each other too much and have him out doing nothing. And that's when they came up with their general's agreement to really nail it to me.
It was only one turn. You make it sound like we did.
No, there was a couple turns that you guys were all talking about.
Well, I mean, I guess I could have shot you out of the back arc from Boba that, or him out of the back arc. But when you told me I couldn't use my heavy laser cannon backwards, I was like, all right, forget it. I'm shooting you. You're in front of me. So I didn't realize that. I never actually load those onto Boba. So that as soon as I saw it, wait a minute, 3 dice that, or was it? Yeah, 3 dice backwards or 4 dice forward. 4 dice. So I need to hedge my bets as much as possible with those things.
Well, it got ugly, and I finally managed to circle around IG-88 and blow up IG-88B before I went down, and there wasn't much I could do at that point because I was down to like 3 hull. And J-Bot won. He killed me.
Yes, it was so nice to win that after getting obliterated by the local Destiny dude twice.
Oh. Sweet vengeance.
That's right. Dadgummit. I needed something to bring me back, and that brought me back in for a little while.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So how about your games, Phil? Or do we want to talk about strategy? Because I'm wondering if we bring up the idea of having those extra points, it makes me want to think about using glass cannons.
Yeah. So a good idea if you are building, list specifically for this, is to build yourself a wing leader tank, and then the rest of your list should be glass cannons. That's kind of what I did, at least with my rebel list. So I played this by myself. I played each faction by just on Vassal. And the rebel list that I came up with was Mirandadoni with a twin laser turret, and I think Cassian Andor. And so it's very slippery Mirandadoni.
Yeah.
And then
push out the damage.
Yeah, Rey with Finn, and I think I had outmaneuver on her. So that would be my glass cannon, more or less. So Rey was designed to really stick it to people in terms of damage. I decided to do that instead of having 2 smaller ships. You could also do you could also have Corn Horn would be a good idea. And
what about even ordnance? You could.
He seems pricey though for this. I mean, Corn Horn plus the Falcon's almost all of your points at that point. And I guess I would.
Rey and Mirandadoni is pretty much 100 points.
Yeah, I guess I would figure you'd want. This was just me thinking that you would want a bunch of really small, either cheap X-wings or headhunters that with the.
Yeah, I think cheap X-wings would be a good idea. A lot of headhunters would not be a good idea because they're throwing 2 dice, and as I'll talk about in a minute, 2 dice may not be enough to punch through a lot of ships' defenses, especially with the special order token rules.
Well, unless you went with ordnance on those.
Yeah, that could help.
And if you stuck with the stock ships in this list, though, the 2 shots might be enough to get through. Well, not IG-88, but
I mean, they would be able to do some damage on this IG-88 because he doesn't have that much defensive stuff. He doesn't have like auto thrusters.
Yeah.
He doesn't have engine upgrade to your boost
Get
out
out of
of
the way.
arcs and stuff.
I really like this list, though. The stock ships. I thought it was great. There was no push to
No, it
limit,
looks fun.
no engine upgrades.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
really enjoyed that aspect. It was a lot of fun.
So my Imperial list, I actually used two metagame lists for the Imperial list and the Scum list. So the Imperial list was a variation on what's known as the Minox Special, I believe. This is TIE Phantom. This is Whisper with Palpatine Shuttle, and then Inquisitor as the third ace for like a Palp Shuttle.
I didn't quite hear that ship. What was it?
I believe he said the TIE Phantom.
That's that stealth one. If you can't remember, it's that stealth ship.
Oh, I don't think I ever played with it, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, you may not be familiar with it, Jim. So the idea here would just be that Whisper does her thing. If you need to, you can pump her up to Pilot Skill 12 and guarantee that you shoot first. But you can also pump up her agility to make her just that much more tanky. Give her 5 agility dice when cloaked. And then you just, you fix mistakes with Palpatine. You fix your dice with Palpatine. And, it's just really hard to punch through a Whisper with 5 dice, focus, evade, and Palpatine. You have to put a lot of damage through. With even 4 or 5 headhunters shooting at her with primer weapons, very, very difficult. With missiles, might have a small chance, depending on if Whisper has like a really bad roll. But you can see how that could be very dangerous, and you have to chase her down, right? 'Cause she's gonna be cloaking all around.
Right. Yeah. That's why I think going with the stock ones are good. Otherwise, there's so many shenanigans.
It's fun. But of course, even if you are going with the stock ships, there's always that leftover 47, 48 points. So
yeah, even just going with a generic TIE Phantom, you can't get 2 of them in. It's very close. You could almost, but just even one TIE Phantom generic would be nasty because just destroy something. 4 dice, bam.
Sure. I mean, I think it would be relatively powerful. They're kind of glass cannon-y. If you're not, trying to play the usual Whisper ACD build, advanced cloaking device. So that was the Imperial build that I had, and then the Scum build was Dengaroo. Now, I think that Dengaroo... Have you guys played against Dengaroo much?
Not a lot.
Right, so you probably don't have this... Do you have the, ingrained hate for it?
No. I know it's very meta and it's very powerful, but no.
Right,
yeah, I don't even really know what all the details of it are, to be honest with you.
Yeah, go over and tell him just kind of the idea of making Dengaroo.
So Dengaroo is a 2 jump master build as Dengar and Manaroo. Dengar is a Pilot Skill 9. I think Manaroo is Pilot Skill 3 or 5.
And they're boyfriend and girlfriend in the meta.
Yeah,
Say it sounds like a celebrity couple.
Yeah.
They kind of are. The way it works is Dengaroo's pilot ability is that he can, if someone attacks him and they're in his arc, Dengar.
Dengar, yeah.
If someone attacks him and they're in his arc, then he can fire at them. So he has like a return fire ability, even if he's already shot. Yeah, once per round. And Manaroo Manru's ability is that she can pass tokens from herself to a friendly ship. So if she takes a focus token, then at the beginning of combat, she can give that focus token to Dengar.
With no range modifier.
No range restriction. She can be on the
that's
complete opposite
awesome.
side of the map.
Nice.
You think that's good?
That seems a little cheap.
But just
doesn't it?
wait. There is a salvaged astromech called R4, overclocked R4 astromech, I believe. And that astromech's ability is that after you spend a focus token, you can receive a stress token to get another focus. And there's no restrictions on that, so you can do it more than once a turn if you want. So if you have a focus token on Dengar, you can regenerate it infinitely until the end of that round.
I mean, this sounds stupid, but I can only imagine you needing to do that 3 times, right? Or 4 times, maybe. 3 times, yeah.
I mean, you use it as many times as you get shot, and then as many times as you shoot. So
Yeah.
you 3 or 4 times a round, but it's like having 3 or 4 focus tokens every round.
Yeah, actually, that's not too shabby.
Right, and that costs 1 point for that droid.
Huh.
Then you also put crew Zuckuss on the on your Dengar.
Zuckuss.
So Zuckuss lets you force your opponent to re-roll their defense dice, and for every defense dice you make them re-roll, you give yourself 1 stress token. So,
So it just builds a lot of stress on the one ship.
the idea is that Dengar uses all these stress-inducing cards, stress-inducing abilities,
Yeah.
with no regard to how much stress he accumulates, because he's actually just being fed tokens by Manru, who is off, screwing around on the other side of the map, just trying not to die.
Huh.
And Dengar actually turns into an extremely powerful ship. So Dengar's elite pilot talent will be Lone Wolf, which lets him reroll 1 dice.
For attack or defense.
For attack or defense, if there's no other friendly ship around.
And Dengaru or
Manru is not going to be
out of
around.
the board.
Yeah.
So
and
it's
then,
a 2 agility ship, 3 attack die with a turret.
Right,
That
turret
basically
primer.
can re-roll 1 die every time and can also get a focus for pretty much anything.
And also makes you reroll all your defense dice. And what you do on top of that is you usually put countermeasures, which is a very underused card in general. It never saw competitive play until Dengar, or until the Dengaru build. Countermeasures is a card that you discard at the beginning of the combat phase, and you remove a target lock token from your ship, and you increase your agility by 1. You can only do that once because it's a discard. So you pump up your agility to 3 on the first.
Going against it, boom, 1 target lock gone. So
yeah,
boom,
that would
ordnance right there.
That would be pretty bad for a time bomber going after you. Yeah, doesn't happen a lot in competitive games, but you see the point. It makes you much harder to kill for that 1 turn, especially since you have all these focus tokens and rerolls. So Dengaru actually becomes much more dangerous in this scenario because you can just take evasive action on Dengar every turn. Give him a natural agility 3 that you can pump up to agility 4 in case of emergency with countermeasures. You see what I mean? It's very difficult to put a lot of damage through on Dengar. In the meantime, he's probably going to be slamming you back with 3 or 4 attack dice, when you attack him, and you're going to be re-rolling all your evades and focus defense dice. So he's going to be putting a lot of damage. His damage output does not drop, but his defense goes up significantly because of that extra agility dice. And,
it's ugly.
And, to compound things, the usually the best tactic to deal with Dengaru build is to kill Manaru first, which is exactly what you don't want to be doing in this mission, because you're gonna you make Dengar the wing leader.
Yeah.
So you can screw with that.
Yeah, this is why I don't play tournaments.
So, I played with those, and I think in the end, Dengar actually ended up going down first because my simulated Imperial and Rebel players both decided that Dengar was too dangerous, and they sort of ganged up on him. More or less, Rey also got killed because she got in like bad positions and was a target of opportunity. But then we ended up with Ranadoni getting chased down by the Imperialist and eventually going down. Mainly because it was too hard to put damage through on Whisper. Just because Whisper would have like 5 defense dice, and Palpatine focus and evade every turn. So it's very difficult to put damage through on that. And Miranda just went down before could really put the remaining few shots in on Whisper that they needed to.
Yeah. I'd rather play my version.
Yeah.
Than all the medalists. So
all those medalists just sound like, ugh. They just give me a headache trying to fly against them.
Yeah. So if we were gonna do the regular mission, but actually with all the bonus points,
the regular points.
Yeah. the optional 100-point alternative.
Yeah.
But we had to keep those same pilots as they were. What would be good to pick? Like when I first think about this, I think of the Scum and Villainy. Yeah, you could always go with another IG-88, but part of me wants to go with like a bunch of like Sikhs, heavy Sikhs. Because
so you could probably get 2 heavy Sikhs.
Well, let's see, 49 points. Yeah, 2 heavy Sikhs. You probably even go ahead with heavy laser cannons on them as well.
Yeah. I would only want them with heavy laser cannons, I think.
I don't know. I think Ion, or even with Mangler, is not bad.
Maybe. Yeah, a heavy Sikh with heavy laser is 23 points. So you probably just want to do that.
Yeah, that would work. Even bump one up to a higher PS.
But as you say, Ion may actually not be such a bad choice just because of this mission in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you're only trying to kill one enemy ship, in particular, and both these ships that you're going to be shooting at are only, 2 or 1 agility. So you could get, reliable ion cannon hits on Han Solo or Boba Fett and walk them off the board.
And even if you've got like a support ship that somehow does something, you could also even ionize that to kind of get it out of the fight while, it's kind of spinning around or 2, putzing around while you get past it and can work on the main ship.
Yeah. I think I, probably want to focus on the main ship. But
I think both are good. And also if you can ionize the other one opponent's main ship, it leaves it not just sitting duck for you, but for the other player.
That's true.
Which will allow allow your opponent to concentrate on, the other opponent. So they're not firing at you as much because they're going for the guy who's ionized.
Something else to consider is probably the bodyguard unique bodyguard elite pilot talent.
Oh,
so this is at the start of the combat phase, you may spend a focus token to choose a friendly ship at range 1 with higher pilot skill than you. Increase its agility by 1 until the end of the round.
Huh.
So, it's something that doesn't see use and competitively, but could be very nice for this mission. And that's coming villainy only.
Yeah. If you want to be ultra cheap, you can throw a Canary Point veteran, a Seek, the PS5
right.
Seek. Don't even go heavy. Just go, a regular old vanilla one with that EPT, and all you do is barrel roll or whatnot and stay around the IG-88. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
Of course, you could stick a cannon on them.
Trying to see if you could do that with a heavy Seek. Yeah, you could have the heavy Seek title on that guy, and you couldn't fit a heavy laser cannon. You could have like 2 Seeks with Mangler cannons and make one of them the bodyguard Seek.
Okay. Well, so J-Bot, if you could go with 47 points as a rebel to kind of back up that Han Solo, what would you do? Because I know I'm thinking you might go with some Hawks or something.
Well, I don't know that I'd go with Hawks in this instance because of the. I guess the whole point I would think of is you just want to destroy their leader. It's very much a not trying to kill the whole list. You're just trying to kill the one ship. Which, if you're going with a standard, I guess not a pure 100-point list on each side, just with what I'm adding on to the Falcon. I don't know. I would want to go with heavy hitting ships. I think either ordnance carriers in one way, shape, or form, even if it's X-wings with torpedoes. I would want something that's going to hit hard, fast, and just say, I almost don't care if they die in a way, but I think the approach would be different. I know this sounds crazy, but I would almost do the same thing I did in our match, which is skirt the edge, wait until the other two opponents commit to something. Like, I'm going to have my ships and basically play the waiting game. I'm going to wait till you guys commit either to each other or to me, so I can tell how I need to attack, and then try and go in for one punch. Essentially, bring the Falcon plus whatever my 2 ordnance carriers or 3 or whatever you could fit in there. Bring those in as my one shot kind of run through and either cripple one ship or take it out completely. As I think trying to stand and fight against 2 people is almost impossible. It's what we run into in those 3-person matches, and it's funny because we did a 3-person Destiny match right after it, and they have the exact same kind of outcome in a lot of ways, which is you get this kind of lame duck syndrome. Once if we're running the lists as they are, as soon as one of the 2 capital ships or leader ships starts taking some serious damage, everybody focuses on it. And for me, the trick is, do I waste my ordnance trying to help somebody else destroy a big ship, or do I save it and in a sense swing in after you've spent all yours killing the opponent? It's a weird game that way with a 3-person. But every 3-person ends up like that. So I think building a list specifically for that kind of central attack run is okay, but you have to play the list knowing that you've essentially got one shot. Like, you've got one punch to take out an opponent. And it sounds like your Dangaroo or your meta game list is what it almost sounds like that's what the computer did. Is it's like, we're going to gang up on this one guy. He's the big threat. We're going to make an alliance in a way and gang up on the one big threat, and then work out whatever happens after that. And that does happen. I mean, if that list showed up on our table, if you brought the Dangaroo to our 200-point list, I'm fairly certain Jim and I'd say that thing's dying. Like, I'm not taking a shot at you until that meta list is off the table. Right. And then we can scrap it out with whatever we've got left. But that takes a lot of the fun to me out of a 3-person game.
The ganging up is a big problem because there's nothing here to really stop it.
Right.
And in a way, that's why as crazy as Gemini's game sounds, it's so simplified there. There is, in a sense, yes, ganging up can happen, but in a way you can't really do it. Like in 100 points, let's say I've got 100 points and I've got 4 ships or 3 ships. I can keep my leader back and essentially help my opponent gang up on somebody with my other 2 and never really have a lot of fear. But I can't gang up on an opponent in a single ship list without putting myself at risk. So I feel like that in a way is a more pure 3-person match than 100 points on each side, or even the modified 100, I guess, is where the mission was supposed to
it's still certainly possible to gang up. Like, for example, if you'd been facing like a Whisper with advanced cloaking device, well, would your reaction have been to gang up and kill Whisper before you attack each other? I mean,
yes.
Yeah, more than likely.
So
because you almost have to, because or at least I would.
If you're facing
do it by myself.
Yeah, if you're facing a superior threat, perceived threat, then the logical choice is to work together to destroy it, and then then you can figure out who wins from there. But
okay. I do say, though, that out of these 3 ships, that the Falcon with Han Solo is one of the most offensive-oriented ships because, one, it's got a lot of hits to go through. It's got the most hits to kill out of anybody. But then also, it can shoot 360, which the other ones can't. Mm-hmm. And Han Solo's ability is pretty darn good to kind of get hits through. And then with you kind of go with the idea that a lot of the Rebel ships out there, crew, pilots, etc., do a lot of synergy things. So you could do the various hawks. You could either boost your main attacks, or you can add free, give people free focus, or turn that focus to an evade, or give someone a target lock because you've got a target lock. There's a lot of different things that the Rebels can do that, if you wanted to kind of make boost the defensive ability of Han, and then Han uses his own actually offensive ability as his own, that I think out of the factions that Rebels could probably pull it off with kind of the crazy defensive stuff. I mean, you could just throw in Biggs, which would be just dumb. I'm sorry.
Biggs is a pretty good choice competitively.
Yeah. It's like, oh gosh, Biggs.
There's Biggs again.
Oh boy.
What a surprise.
Biggs, is, you've mentioned it before, is the reason, in a lot of ways, the reason you can't fix, quote unquote, X-Wings, because any fix to X-Wings, I guess a perceived fix, makes Biggs stronger. So it's
it's not. That's sort of true. I mean, there are ways to do it. You can't give X-Wings any defensive buffs, essentially.
Yeah,
but you can't make because you can't make them too bulky or too dodgy, otherwise Biggs gets too good. But if you make them more like killy, if you give them like offensive buffs, then that should be fine.
But I think overall, if you even just forget about Biggs, because everybody always takes Biggs, but if you went with other things, you could do a lot of survivability.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously Hawks are my thing. And yes, the Hawks as support ships for the Falcon would be, or could be, nasty. But in a sense, any player worth his salt can like, well, it's just a Hawk. I can kill it relatively fast if I focus on it.
But that's the thing. You're going to spend the time and effort to kill your support. Well,
here's the thing: would you rather kill my Hawk, like right away, or let my Hawk give Han essentially a second focus every turn because I'm carrying a crew on it that lets me turn a focus into an evade? Like, which one would you let her have? Like trying to dig through to evade Han, or multiple evade Han in a lot of ways?
But that's the beauty of the
Hawk,
list, though.
Which in a sense cripples it doesn't cripple it, but it totally weakens that Han down to, in a sense, a normal level. To me, I love that. It's in a sense whenever I play a Hawk list, everybody in our place knows kill his Hawks first, and the rest of the list crumbles. It's one of those, kill the body and the head's gonna roll sort of thing.
But in a 3-list scenario, though, if
well,
you're
no, I can protect them. That's what I have to do when I fly them. Is I have to make sure that, in a sense, you have to go through the rest of my list to get to the Hawks. But the Hawks are their support ships. That's what they're there for. But if you know that as a critical weakness, like we know that Han becomes, in a sense, weak and vulnerable when you take out the Hawks, then people will know they're going to hit Hawks first. Every time I fly a list, that's the first thing they do. They go right by the hammer of the list, and they go after the Hawks. Even though, you might want to kill Corn. When I ran my tournament list, the 2 Hawks and Cornhole, like everybody, like it was a pick your poison list. Do I kill the Hawks first, or do I kill Cornhole first? If you didn't commit to one of those 2 things, I beat you, period, because you have to choose one of those 2 and commit to it entirely. Otherwise, I'll pick you apart with these heavy damage ship and a low damage ship. So you have to. It's the same instance with the Falcon and Hawks. If I were to do that, pick your poison. Kill the Hawk first, or kill Han.
But imagine it. But imagine it a 3-person game where you're all trying to kill each other. That the chances of getting them distracted from finishing off one of the aspects is greater in a 3-person game than in a 2-person game. In a
way, but I would expect if I were to run that sort of list with the Hawks, the 2 people would just say kill his Hawk, and we can worry about what Han does later.
But would they really team up so much? Because I might agree.
I don't think they necessarily would team up, but it would be more. Hawks it's got 2 agility, and it's we can blow through it pretty quick if we want to, and so it's an easier shot.
It even takes some effort to go through your Hawks, and if you're killing off his main ship, or maybe you're killing his glass cannons, while people are concentrating your Hawks. That's still a few precious, a few very important turns that you can kind of get done what needs to get done with Han, and while your Hawks die, and it might totally be worth it.
True.
It can. I just, from my experience running them, like when people focus on Hawks, they die 1 a turn, like that fast, because they've got 1 shield and 4 hull, which if anybody puts anything, they become a TIE fighter. And without the agility, once you take out that shield, all the crits just eat them alive. And the old crit deck was even worse because, oh, look, there goes their secondary. So if I paid for a turret, there it went, that sort of thing. And I've seen them enough get eaten alive by just average ships. Headhunters eat through Hawks. They're not a sturdy ship. So if I were to attack that list with Han and a couple Hawks, I would crush the Hawks first, knowing that Han would be by himself. Because if I have a list that's designed to kill Han, I can kill a Hawk in a heartbeat with the same ships.
I have to say that I wonder how it could go wrong. All the distractions and stuff in a 3-person. I think that it's viable. It's even more viable than in a 2-person game. But I get your point.
No, but I guess the reason I say it is the stray shot. That's what that becomes. Is, oh, look, I can't really get a good clean, shot. It's at range 3 to Han. Well, I'll burn it on a Hawk. Well, that average random stray shot cuts a Hawk in half. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, I got 3 dice, but at range 3, to Han, I'll take my range 2 shot at the Hawk and cut a Hawk in half. Now he's down to, 3 hull maybe, because yes, you can get the evades. Yes or no, it can happen, but it only takes a couple of stray shots from both players to kill one. And so when you realize, like, wait a minute, that also is a centerpiece of how he's keeping Han alive, then it doesn't even feel like a stray shot. And you're like, you know what, I'll go ahead and take him out since he's at close range, or he's at range 1 or 2 versus the range 3 to Han, or that sort of thing. So as a player running the Hawks, you have to take that mindset and essentially spend the whole game protecting them, keeping them as far out of the fray as possible. And I guess in my experience, most people take the Hawks first. That's because they see them as easy to kill. Mm-hmm. And they're also so important to the list that even in a 3-player game, I would expect people to say, well, I can shoot a Han or I can shoot the Hawk. I'm shooting at the Hawk. And even if there's a mix of people, even if I'm going to take 2 ships towards your list and he's going to take a ship towards mine, he's probably going to shoot the Hawks before he shoots Han. So for me, I won't know. I mean, I could try it obviously, but I don't know that I would run them in this sort of thing. It's just over the years of experience at this point running things, they don't have the survivability of even X-Wings in those sorts of situations.
All right, so I get that. I'm surprised, but I understand your perspective.
No, don't get me wrong, I love them, but you have to load them up. You have to spend a lot of points putting turrets on them if you want them to do anything besides just fly around and basically shoot at nothing for their one die primary attack.
Or snapshot.
Yeah, yeah. You
All
have
right.
to pay for that still, unfortunately.
Yeah. So then, Jake, if you have this Boba Fett with the heavy laser cannons and etc., I found it was really good to stay at range. You kind of try to let the other people fight as much as possible and blast them to pieces with the heavy laser cannon. What would you take for your 48 squad points with this Boba Fett?
Well, I'm kind of glad you asked. I was listening to you mentioning about how Han Solo, he's a really good ship for offense. Really, he's got that 360 degrees, and he's very potent in his own right. He's got those hull points, he's got the shield points, and I think that unlike J-Bot, who he loves the Hawks, but he would probably leave them on this mission at home, I would take my one and only Decimator, I think, and I would fill it with a Vader and a Gunner, I think, and that would be the full 48 points. So really, I would only be fielding the two ships. I'd be fielding the Slave One and Vader in his illustrious Decimator. I think that part of the point of that is I would like a little bit more offense, and I would like that availability to do 360 degrees. I take the Gunner, of course, because when you sink so many points into just one ship like that, if you are unlucky enough to just blank out your rolls, oh gosh, it's like the worst point sink that you can have. So
yeah.
If this basically negates that from ever happening. But obviously, Vader is probably my favorite card in this game, and having him on the Decimator, I just feel is so great to put crits, and even take absorb a little bit of damage and just put crits on people when they get through their shields. It's for me, that's my go-to, and I feel like I would like to try that in this situation as well.
Oh, you could definitely lay out the IG-88B pretty fast with Vader.
Right. I feel like it'd probably do better against the Scum and Villainy than it would against the Rebel, but I mean, at the same time, you can only play and figure it out and see what happens. So I'd be willing to try.
I'd worry about the agility on the Decimator. As crazy as it sounds, even Hawks can chew those things up without a ton of effort. It's just the meat shield. I always work, and I played a heck of a lot of Decimators when I was younger in the game. It was actually that ship that I gave the fist to level between my Hawks and people playing Decimators. But it was, in a way, it was because it was so even. It's like, I have one attack die, but I can hurt you with it, sort of thing.
I mean, I'm okay with that because the other thing too is, even though you're gonna have 100 points with your large ship, I mean, Boba's still on the field, and now I'm not saying I'm a skilled player by any means. I'm casual to the core, but I feel like a skilled player that knows how to play Boba Fett with his Slave One and use the upgrade cards that are given to him, the default ones. I mean, I feel like they could kind of cover each other. Boba can even fire out of the rear, which is not too shabby to help a Decimator with someone on his tail, and the Decimator can shoot at anybody in 360 degrees. So
which Decimator was it you were looking at?
Just the standard, the patrol one. So no leader ability. That's why I'd prefer to stick the points into Vader with his Gunner, so as opposed to taking one of the leader abilities.
And remind me, on the Vader card, it does 2 damage.
So Vader, if you suffer 2 damage, if you've got shields up that can go right onto your shields, you then can give the enemy 1 critical hit or 1 critical damage. So that could just mean that you're giving them a damage to strip their shields, but if you're utilizing it correctly, it means that you can be placing a crit on like a face-up damage card on their ship once per turn. And I feel like that's the real crippling part. I mean, if you let this thing live long enough to put points onto your hull, you're going to be in trouble.
Right.
And if you go with someone like Gunner,
and Gunner allows you not
miss
to
the person.
Yeah.
Maybe you're putting 2 crits on him a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could certainly see it as a draw away from your boba, for example. People saying, "Man, I got to get rid of that thing before it eats me alive," and then I'll just get the boba. And it's the same kind of thing I was saying with the Hawks, but in that case, it's a lot more to chew through. It's like, oh god, I got to kill that thing before it kills me. It's almost a race to see which one of you.
And the nice thing about this the ship here too is kind of like you mentioned with the whole Gunner activating and being able to use Darth Vader potentially twice a turn, is I really like to keep the Decimator at range, like wherever possible, like skirting the edges of the map, stay at range 3, because if I am going to miss, it's going to be at range 3. And also I'll hopefully be avoiding some incoming fire, but still being able to dish a little bit out. So it's not the worst thing in the world, I think.
All right, so I have to admit that if I had the Imperial, those 48 points would be 2 Scimitar pilot TIE bombers.
The bombers.
Of course,
8 points.
bombers.
It'd be great. Like 2 TIE bombers, they have enough.
It's not a bad. It's not a bad time for TIE bombers. No.
You got to give attention to those TIE bombers to kill them. One ship just shooting at it's not going to kill it like a lucky TIE fighter. And it's going to have a world of hurt on it. It can extra munitions, and you can just go for a homing missile right there is going to just be fantastic. Or you can go for like proton torpedo and seismic torpedo or seismic bombs. You can go for a number of these things that would make it a real threat towards whatever it is you're going.
Well, with those big, in a sense, heavy ships with lots of shields, that's where those plasmas can just eat through one of those things pretty quick. And I mean, ordnance in this sort of situation would scare me, and that's the reason I talked about taking either X-wings with ordnance, or even as many headhunters as I could get out there with ordnance, just because that panel full of target locks on one ship, you're like, oh god, this is not going to be pretty if they get the shot off. And in a sense, if you line it up right, they could be that hammer blow against one ship. I'm going to just crush one ship and just wait for my time, like wait for the right moment, and then pick one ship off. But with the TIE bombers, you got so much ordnance. In a sense, I guess you could put on them that it would. You might have more than one shot. You might have more than one punch, which is good.
Yes, everybody's focusing on the big ships, the boss ships. You can probably get through with more. So. Yeah, I like that. For me, I think the Vader Decimator, Vader Mater is pretty good, but I would go with the TIE bombers.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. All right, so I think this is a pretty good. We kind of went through and found all the errors for you to not fall into. And you can then take what we've learned and actually run forward this mission. I think it is a fun one. When I first glanced at it, I didn't think it was that exciting, but actually it proved to be better than I thought.
Yeah, I think the only real weakness here is going to be ganging up, because there's no built-in hard preventative measure against ganging up. So it could definitely happen, especially if you're playing it with a group of people that you know.
Yeah. And I think it's worst case for IG-88 because they can die the quickest with the least amount of hits. And if you can try to use something like Ionize or whatever to one of the other ships to get that to be drawn into the attention, that's why I think that can become more important. So we can be sneakier and cleverer and tricksy. Yeah.
Tricksy.
Yeah. All right. So, I think that overall should do it for this episode. I almost want to play it again, play it more, and play it actually with the appropriate rules. But I still had fun.
Why start now?
With just the main ships. I thought it was awesome. It was very well balanced. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Cool.
It's definitely a fun
to win.
True. I even lost both games, but I had a good time with it. So cool, excellent. All right. So with that, we should go ahead and wrap up this episode of the Shuttle Tydirium podcast, where we're definitely hardcore tournament gamers. We always go to win and
follow all the rules. Pay attention to it.
That's right. Awesome. All right. So guys, any last parting words?
I'm going to take my foot off the accelerator now, so we're going to drop out of hyperspace.
All right. May the Schwartz be with you. Bye, guys.
See you later.